One. Hello, everybody. My name is Kari Elson.
And I'm soloing.
Cabaltios?
Welcome to Plightcast number 18. It is a very interesting time in the world for animation, especially for what has recently been happening. But as you know, we go through the normal what have we been watching, and so let's get to it. So, what about you, Cabaltios? What have you been watching?
Well, unfortunately, I haven't really been watching anything because of various little situations that have happened. But overall, I have actually more or less caught up with a couple of webcomics that I still am reading. Um, More notably, what was it? The two ones that have actually been interesting to kind of read through that have had recent events were Level 3 Psychiatry and My Life with Fel. The former one, some interesting little shenanigans were going on Level 30. It was I guess they had some disputes with a couple of characters, and it's funny because they brought Kratos in it from God of War, because the comic's basically about various video game characters and all that in this
That one that
world.
you posted in the forums?
What? Yeah, and it's funny because they had like the whole thing would basically involved a dispute in I guess in the Mount Olympus with Palutena and all that, and it's funny how they had Kratos with it, and you wouldn't think it, but because they're all the characters are more or less from Greek mythology, it actually kind of works, even though they're from completely different game series. So I thought it was kind of amusing that they did that, and the other one was actually pretty neat for My Life with Fel. It basically involves this kind of arc leading into a trial type thing. And the way that they did the actual panel for the trial was actually was exactly like how it looks like in Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. So the dialogue and all that kind of stuff is very reminiscent of that, and they have it all in a GIF format. So it's kind of neat that they pulled something like that. I thought it was kind of neat. And so yeah, that was that. I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it. Oh yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, that's probably it. I don't think there's anything else. So yeah, go on to Curielson, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be totally honest. School pretty much made me watch nothing. Like, arguably, the only thing I could say that I watched was an episode of Sailor Moon Crystal. Watched that last night while at a Nigerian party.
Take
That
it.
was it was like an older episode. It wasn't bad, but I really need to catch up with that series. I have to catch up with a whole bunch of series. But that's one. And then the other one was Legend of Korra, Surprise, Surprise, right? We'll get to that in the Korra cast, but I am going to say this. To Team Korra, Bryke, and everybody around there, um, thank you very much for Cora for what you have done at the ending, okay? If the ending is exactly the way that you are intending it and the implications are what we're almost all assuming, then thank you for doing that. I think that for a lot of teenagers, kids that watch this, it will be a great way to remind them that they can be human too, and the fact that they can all be respected and all live up to great heights, regardless of who or what um, uh, society says otherwise. So I know that's completely vague, but Koracast and the fact that we're still in, I would like to say, a spoilerish time area, it makes me go a little bit vague on this. So, but that's pretty much it with me. So I think now it's Solo Wing's turn.
All right. Uh, well, I guess I'll start with non-anime. I watched a lot of The Flash over the weekend. I got caught up all the way up to episode 9, which is where they're at now. Um, yeah, that's a really good show. It's really entertaining. Um, it's a it, it's really fun watching them adapt things from the comic. from the comics, like seeing stuff from like just old Flash comics show up, like Girder. They have their own version of Girder in the show. Who's he's a Flash villain. Captain
Hmm.
Cold shown up, and I like what they did with him, his adaptation, his live action adaptation. Um, and they just started calling him the Flash as of like episode 8. Because
Really?
before they just call him, yeah, because before they would just call him the Streak. Like they didn't really know, nobody really knew who Barry was. Like what they didn't realize that there was this guy who's running faster than, or almost as fast as the speed of sound, just helping people. Because he's not like gone public as this hero. He's just kind of doing what he can in the shadows. Um, so at this point, he's kind of like an urban myth. But yeah, they recently started. Well, at this point, like he's still not like acknowledged as a hero or anything, but they've started referring to this urban myth of sorts as the Flash.
So this is
Um,
kind of like an origin story type thing as well.
oh yeah, he's
Nice,
like he
nice.
gets his power in the first like in the pilot episode.
I do have to say, I like the fact that he is willing to that well not he but the story's willing to not like directly say oh he's Flash within like episode 2, like you kind of need to build up to that,
Yeah, it's cool because they don't actually all these names like the Flash and Girder and Captain Cold and stuff like they don't call them that. They don't call them these things in the show. There's one of Barry's buddies, kind of who works with him. His name is Cisco. He has this kind of side hobby of making up silly names for the metahumans that they encounter. So he came up with like the name Captain Cold or Plastique or whatever.
Hmm.
Um,
Huh.
and so that's kind of how they get the comic book names in there. Um, but yeah, it's really entertaining. Um, but and then I guess the rest would be anime. Cross Ange coming into its own, I must say. Uh, episode 11 was a real turning point for the series. I feel like it was the first episode in the series that I'm willing to go to bat and say that that was a good episode. That was a really good episode. Um, and that was the point where I felt like the soundtrack was also really starting to come into its own. There were a few insert tracks that were really good, in my opinion.
Okay.
And there were some plot revelations that were actually really interesting. But yeah, that's the series that I look forward to the most on a weekly basis for
Yeah.
for various reasons. Um, but yeah, still enjoyable. I just saw episode 12 a couple hours ago. There's a lot of world building in that episode. Like they just spend the whole episode just dumping info. Um, and so there's a lot of questions that are answered, and a few that are raised, and it's all very interesting. And then I dabbled a bit in uh, it's called, the English name I guess is gonna be the Twin Tails. Which, have you heard of this show, Kari Elson?
No, I don't think so.
I've heard of it. I think Pretty mentioned it a couple times, and I saw a few gifs of it. It looks
Stupid.
different and yet somewhat, yeah.
No, you can be straight. It's a dumb show. Um, so
I
it's,
will say the premise is kind of funny though.
yeah, it's so the Japanese name is like Ore Twin Tails Inarimasu, which is like
Oh yeah. Now
Yeah.
I remember.
like I'll become the Twin Tails. So it's the main. It's about this main character who is just crazy over the Twin Tails hairstyle. Like he's a connoisseur of twin tails, like long twin tails, short twin tails with bows, curly twin tails. He's seen them all. He loves them all. Um, he takes this very seriously, mind you. And so he, the first episode, like he encounters these guys. They're like goons straight up like a Power Ranger show or something. Like they're faceless. They don't actually have any dialogue. They just make grunts and such. And they're kidnapping girls with twin tails. And he's just so insulted by this, so upset by this. Like, they're taking the twin tails from this world. And so this around the same time, this professor-like character, this woman, appears out of nowhere, and she gives him this bracelet, and she tells him, if you put this bracelet on and you will it to transform, you'll be able to fight these goons and stop them from taking the twin-tailed girls. And so naturally he accepts. But what he doesn't realize is that when he transforms, he turns into a little girl. With twin tails, mind you. So, it's not so bad.
I saw the GIF with the professor that makes it. He's like, so what? I have a thing for little girls. Is that a problem?
Yeah, it's
Like, what?
the first time he transforms into a little girl, the narrator is like, "What? Why does he turn into a little girl?" Well, we'll get to that later.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's like a gender-bending magical girl show. And yeah, when things settle down a little bit, he's won his first battle. They go back to his house, and they talk more about this problem, the situation. And one of the things that he asks this professor about is like, why does this thing turn me into a little girl? And you'd think it'd be this like grand reason, like this. There's a technological reason why this turns into a little girl, but nope. Nope, the professor just has a thing for girls, little girls specifically.
It's like, right, okay then.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad that at least she's honest. Honesty should be the best policy for certain things like that. I know it's a tangent, but it reminds me of Power Rangers RPM, where like there's an episode dedicated to find out why like there's explosions in the background, or the fact that like the Megazords have like eyes and stuff like that, which Ziggy, one of the characters, is like they have big googly anime eyes, and it's like, and she goes into like a specific scientific reason about all the reasons why they do it, and at the end of the day, at the end of the day, they find out that like this meta thing could actually be used properly, like as a weapon. Yeah. You should watch RPM. I'm sorry for jumping on that, but yeah.
Oh, I will. I love meta stuff.
Yeah, but it's a funny show. The villains are all just completely wacky. Like, so you have these goons, but then of course you have the commanders, just like in a Power Rangers show or whatever. And so I guess their goal is to take affinity from the world. I don't know if it's people's love for twin tails specifically, or if it's just people's love in general. But they're trying to take people's affinity from the world, and so it's this guy's job to stop them using this transformation bracelet. And this professor is actually from another world who these guys have already taken all the affinity from. She escaped, and so she escaped to this world with this bracelet. To find someone who could help her fight against this menace. And the villains, the villains are all like I said, they're wacky. Well, the first commander that the main character fights, like he doesn't actually care that much about twin tails. He just he has a very specific fetish, which is seeing little girls hold dolls. Like very cute girls. So when he's having these twin-tailed girls rounded up, like when particularly cute ones show up, he sets them aside. He says, "Here." He shoves this doll in their hands, like, "Just hold this doll, please. I have to see you hold this doll." And so when the main character transforms, this guy just goes nuts. He's like, "I have to see this girl wear this hold this doll." And so the battle is like. It's him trying to shove this doll on the main character.
Oh God!
It's great. It's like if I defeat you, you have to hold this doll. That's
like doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah, and all the other commanders are kind of like that too.
Oh,
But
jeez.
it's such a dumb show, but it's really funny. Um, but yeah, that's Twin Tails. And then I've been catching up with Psychopaths, the second season, and
Mm. Yeah, I've been hearing.
well now hold on. That I'll just say that shows. I'm on episode 8 at the moment. Out of 11. This season has been a wild ride. Um, so um, I went back and read some of the ANN reviews, specifically the one for episode 7. And having just watched episode 7 like an hour ago, there's some stuff in that review that came off to me as conjecture, false conjecture. I don't want to spoil. Like I guess if you read the review, it's just their reviews. They don't take care for spoilers. But I don't I I don't actually agree with some of the criticisms that they're making against the show at this point. Um, not from a qualitative perspective, but they said something about the plot that they said like, oh, this plot twist was stupid. I'm like, but I don't remember this plot twist happening, and I just saw this episode 45 minutes ago. Um, but other things that are happening in this show that are nuts. Um, you so have you seen the first season of Psychopaths, Carlson?
No, that's the one thing that I regret not doing, and that I'm probably gonna watch it over this holiday.
Okay. Yeah, there's only really been one question on my mind as I watch Psychopaths 2, and that has everything to do with the chief of the Public Safety Bureau, and that kind of traces back to season 1. Um, but yeah, it's a crazy ride so far, and I kind of want to get back to it, but I'm enjoying it. This this character they introduced this. Well, I guess she was around the first season too, but she becomes an inspector as of season 2. Um, this new character Mika is the chumpiest character, I swear. There- she's like the newbie, but she doesn't like the main character Akane. Like I don't know if she's like jealous of her or like she's just has a she has a distaste for authority or whatever, but like they are trying so hard to make Mika out as the most unlikable character because she's while everyone else is like doing like real stuff, getting stuff done. Mika is like this stooge trying to figure out ways to like discredit Akane and like prove that she's actually insane and that they should like discredit they should have her rights as an inspector revoked or they should have her resign or something. It's ridiculous. But but yeah, she's in a way she's kind of the most entertaining character of the show, even though she's supposed to be. They're obviously trying to write her as this character that you're supposed to hate because she's so unlikable. But I don't know. I like Stooges. So um, and then Argibolin finished like last week or so, and I've sat down and finished that. Um, that's a that's a weird show, to be honest. Like
Is it a show that is worth watching, or is it more like I don't know?
that's a hard question. That's a hard question to answer because the thing is, not very much happens in it ultimately over the course of 24 episodes. Like I finished 24 episode 24 like a couple hours ago, and I'm just kind of as the credits roll, I'm thinking like so like go back at square one or
So
like
wait, we mean by nothing happens.
so that's a show that's pretty much entirely character driven. Like to be fair, there's not a whole lot of plot to begin with, but like when I say nothing happens, like a lot of character relationships are in a lot of ways still the way they were at the beginning of the show.
Oh, it's one of those. Oh God, that would drive me
Well,
nuts.
yeah, so characters develop. Some of them do. And some of them, the character development is handled a little roughly for my taste, but it happens. Um, but if you're there to just watch a band of characters live their lives in a war, like it's a fine show. It's a good show for that. If you're there to watch a war unfold and see the results of the war, then you're gonna be disappointed. Like I don't want to spoil it, but the status quo is maintained. Basically, there's no it's almost completely unaltered, which is kind of weird. Especially because they expose all the trappings of it. They just never really bothered to do anything about it.
Like here, it's conflict. We're not doing anything about it. It's like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it's hard to explain without just spoiling it. But
That's all right.
yeah, I feel like in a lot of ways, like they don't really accomplish much. It's not like they didn't try to. I feel like just from the very beginning, they just didn't set very many goals for themselves when they wrote the show, beyond the premise. Um, but it's weird because I actually kind of like the show. Like it has some attributes that I think are kind of unique within the genre. Um, like I said before, when I talked about it last show, it makes use of combined arms, proper use of it, which is kind of rare in mecha shows. Um, and though weirdly enough, there's no air power whatsoever. It's weird. they have there's this they I mean they have this universe that has mechs in it and like advanced tanks and stuff, but there's like no aircraft to be seen ever. Like not civilian aircraft, military aircraft, no air support whatsoever. But like they use mechs. Yeah, it's weird. I noticed that. I was looking for it. There's no there don't seem to be any aircraft in this world. But other than that, like the mechs work in concert with artillery and tanks and infantry and emplacements. Like it's a full operation every time, which is kind of neat. Um, and yeah, and it's tactics and logistics are always at the forefront. Like even as you have these like prototype mechs running around, like they never forget the basics. Um, so like you have the main mech Argivolin, which is this super fast, super powerful prototype that you think would like win in a lot of mech shows. A mech like that would just win the war for them. But in this show, like they kind of temper that. Like it's the reality is that it's a really powerful mech, but because it's so powerful, like that comes with its own caveats. Like it's a prototype, which means they don't fully know exactly what they're dealing with, and a lot of its functions are classified, for example, which means like it's hard to maintain for the mechanics. Like they don't even get proper weapons for it until like halfway through the show because they don't know how to retrofit it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they don't know how to retrofit it on the field because they don't have access to the necessary information and parts to maintain it properly because
That must be awkward at times.
it's a classified machine. Yeah. But yeah, they. I mean, there's a lot of that like the power of friendship and will and stuff like that in the show, just like in any other mecha show. But it's still fairly realistic. I feel like it keeps a realistic approach to warfare. Tactics always reign supreme, even over the prototypes and such. So it has a lot going for it. I just feel like I just wish it had set more goals for itself. But yeah.
Yeah.
It's an enjoyable show if you're looking for mechs. But yeah. And I guess I'm talk briefly about Buddy Complex. There's not much to say except that it's a time travel story and it's completely nuts. They had they showed the the finale of it over this past fall, because it was a 12 episode show. The situation for that is a little unique. It was a 12 episode show that I think aired last spring, um, but the story didn't finish. But the show did pretty poorly, so they didn't really get funding for a whole another season. So instead, they just did a 2 episode OVA this season, um, and the OVA was pretty good. It wrapped things up nicely. Um, it revealed some things that made the whole story a lot more complicated, but it also revealed some things. Yeah, but it also revealed some things that overall made the whole story make more sense.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, if you look at that chart that I posted
Yeah, I
on
saw it.
on the forums, it's a mess. I didn't even know there were when I went coming out of the OVA, I didn't realize that there was a third timeline. Like that's because
The
if you
hell
look
is
at
this
the
thing
chart,
here?
yeah, like, if you look at that chart, like they have timeline 1, they have timeline 2, they have timeline 3. I understood there to be 2 timelines. I didn't know about a third one, but I get if you think about it hard enough, it all makes sense, and they wrapped it up perfectly fine. Just don't ask me to explain it all.
Yeah, I'll find
I,
I'll find a place to figure that out if I have to.
yeah,
So
it was an enjoyable show though. I liked it,
Okay.
and then of course I finished Korra, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
but like next week later.
All I'll say about Korra is the ending was kind of remarkable. Good or bad, I don't know about all that, but it was remarkable.
Okay, so let's get to Pokemon with Cobaltios. So there's stuff that about like the new movie that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. So this is gonna require a bit of talking about the games in a bit, so that this all makes sense. So recently they revealed a new teaser trailer and a poster for the new movie. Now, because of what was being showed in it, I wasn't exactly sure if this was the real one because they pulled this last time when they had a remake. So for Heart Gold and Soul Silver, with a teaser trailer showing off Lugia and Ho-Oh, that wasn't really just Frozen for the movie. It was just something else. And apparently, the 13th movie dealt with Zoroark and other legendaries and all that. So I wasn't exactly sure of what they're doing for this. But now that I see a poster of it, I think it's official. And not only that, I think that they're going to be showing off one of the event Pokemon. And here's why. So, kind of for a little bit of information here, whenever the new games come out, or any Pokemon game, people always data mine it. So that means they go through all the code, find out what's in there, like all kinds of little stuff like that. This was done for X and Y also, which is how we found out about the stuff like Diancie, for instance, and Volcanion, Hoopa, Megaladios, and Latios, that kind of stuff. So we've all known about this because of the data mining. So this was done for Oras, and we found out a couple other interesting things. Noteworthy being the 2 events, one for Hoopa and one for Volcanion. That being like they found actual like dialogue that is spoken for by certain NPCs that you talk to when you activate certain events. But because they haven't released those events, nothing happens really, except for one, which involves Hoopa. And this is the important part because you get this thing called a prison bottle or something, and apparently you talk to one of the NPCs, and you get it from the NPC you talk to, and it kind of talks about the whole item, and you can activate a thing that gives you, I believe it's called the Unbound Hoopa. So Hoopa has like, this other form, and this is where things get interesting because this form has his signature move called Hyperspace Fury. It's surprisingly powerful move, doesn't miss, and and the animation for this involves him basically doing all these like punches at the enemy through portals that he opens up and they attack the opponent with. What's curious about this is that these portals are yellow rings that you can see space in them. Why is this important? Well, if you've played Oras, after you've either beaten or captured your version legendary, so Cargo or Groudon, after you've done that, you'll be able to access certain Mirage spots. And at these Mirage spots, there's these little portals that are yellow rings that have space in them. So what this implies, of course, is that well, Hoopa is making these things. So what's this guy do with the movie? Well, in the movie, the teaser trailer, we saw we see we see Primal Cowger, Primal Groudon, and Mega Rayquaza, or if we call Rayquaza, and we also see a yellow ring that opens up into a portal. So what I think a lot of people are assuming is that this one's going to feature Hoopa, based on those information we have from the games, and just based on what we've seen in the games. And it also works out because one, if it is Hoopa, then he's actually summoning out those Hoenn legendaries into wherever the Ash ends up at, which makes a lot of sense. And also, this will allow them to release yet another event legendary, like they did last movie with Diancie. So
So
that's
Hoopa hasn't been in a movie yet?
nope.
Okay.
Um, no, Hoopa has yet to appear along with Volcanion. So I'm thinking that for the 18th movie we'll have Hoopa, and then for the next one we'll probably have Volcanion in some fashion. I don't know exactly how they'll do that, but by the sounds of this movie and based on just kind of speculation, but also based on just what we currently know about certain events and whatnot, and certain Pokemon, I think it's pretty safe to assume that this movie will feature the Hoenn Weather Trio, Megas, and Hoopa.
So is this gonna be? I have a question. So is this gonna be like one of those like Ash stumble upon stuff story, or is this gonna be like is this gonna be like a side story all together? Or is it gonna be more like the I don't know. I I guess let's put it this way. If you look at like the original, if you look at like Pokemon, the movie 2000, Pokemon 3, and arguably even Pokemon 4, they usually use a legend and then it happens or something like that. But like I feel like with the later series, it's just like, hey, look, I stumbled upon a legendary. Let me go collaborate with them. Okay, we're done. Like, are we looking into that type of?
I don't know yet because we've literally seen a teaser that just shows off uh, Primal Kyogre, Primal Groudon, and Mega Rayquaza. And then at one point it shows off the portal. That's all we've seen. We don't know anything else about it. All we know is it's called X and Y 2015.
Okay, okay. So, man, see, I think I realized my problem with trailers, like with announcements like these. They're announcing an announcement, okay? Like that's the problem.
Now, my problem with the Pokemon movie trailers is that whatever you see in them is never the footage that actually shows up in the movie. And I stopped watching the trailers just because of that. Because there's been scenes in the trailers that are better than what you see in the movie.
You know, that's an
Like
interesting
seriously,
thing.
like and my best one that I was so pissed off at was for a movie, I believe it was, yeah, movie 10. There's a scene like in the trailer where you see like Darkrai blocked like attack from either Dialga or Palkia. That scene is never in the movie. I'm like, what? Or another one is from, I think it's from the 16th one, where like uh, Mewtwo shows up and protects Ash and Co. And Ash immediately like recognizes it and like says its name. Also never shown in the movie. It's like, why do you bother doing this to us if you're not actually put in the movie? It just ruins everything. I get what they're doing, but it just pisses me off. So I've just basically sworn off not watching any of the trailers because it's like, we're going to see this trailer. It's not going to be in the movie anyways. What's the point?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um, for me personally, I think I started noticing that after like the second to the third movie, where like sometimes the trailers just wouldn't show up there. You know,
Yeah.
so it's pretty crazy that they kind of just ditched that, but it's good to know at least they're starting to work on it now.
hmm
But I guess so. What's your final thoughts on this? Unless
Honestly, I'm just kind of hoping that I'm not exactly sure what to think right now, just because there isn't a lot to go by. But by the sounds of it, like this isn't going to be the situation about almost a decade ago where they pulled that trailer with Lugia and Ho, and we never got them to show up. So I think that now that we have at least got some minor inference of X and Y legend in the movie, I think there's a better chance this is official, and we got a poster for it. So they wouldn't make a poster of this kind of stuff if it wasn't official, mind you. So I have a little more faith in that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So let's let's hope that we can get some stuff. I guess get some good uh movie material out of it, you know.
Hmm.
But I guess that's it. What about you, Solo? What do you think?
Oh boy, I used to like I used to keep up with the Pokemon movies, but man, it's Pokemon as a franchise. I can't keep up anymore, guys.
I don't blame you. I mean, it's like I still haven't seen much of. I still haven't gotten around to watching X and Y yet, even though I kind of want to, and I still haven't seen the 17th movie. So I'm like, I'll get to this eventually. Just give me a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movies especially used to be so beloved to me, but these days I just can't keep up.
And I get the feeling that I feel like they're getting shorter and shorter and shorter every time.
Like in
Well,
terms of actual running time?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like the last I watched was just barely over an hour. I'm like, it's done already? What? Okay.
well,
Um,
I think at this point it's just easier for them to just keep it short and keep it, less detailed. And just, I mean, I guess to me it seems like the Pokemon movies have got to the point where like, well, we need to advertise these Pokemon so that later when we have events we can make like hyper events that people like still retain.
yes, that's the funny thing about these movies is that all they really are is just here's some new Pokemon for like a certain game, or here's some event stuff. We'll be creating an event soon. Go and get them. These are
Yeah.
advertisements. They appear in the movie. I'm like, some cases I'm like, okay, cool. Other times I'm like, okay, sure, I guess.
So then, if that's the case, right? Like, then I'm okay with it being shorter. Then, if that's the main thing, the thing is that it shouldn't be. How do I put it? If you're gonna make it like advertising and like make it like a good full movie, then do it like Lego Movie, or else just like say, okay, we know we're gonna do advertising, just keep it as short as possible and just get people from A to B, you
It's
know?
probably just freaking fan service at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I know people will think heresy, but I still think the movie 2000 was the height of the Pokemon movies.
I actually like I'm okay. I like it too, but the only problem is that nowadays the only thing going for that one is the Lugia. Everything else about it is kind of cringeworthy at times.
Yeah, but
Personally
like,
though, the 13th one with Zoroark in that one, I think that was easily the best one, just overall. It had a decent plot. It introduced two new Pokemon that we wouldn't see until the next generation, mind you, and it actually was actually pretty solid. Like I don't think there was too much bad about it I can think of.
okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So,
I think I have a favorite Pokemon movie. Though if I did, it would probably be 2000. Not gonna lie.
yeah, I will say that the worst Pokemon movie that I did not like was the Pokemon the first movie. That was it.
Oh, come on now.
I
I
honestly can't watch past the opening credits.
No, I agree, right? Like I know that's gonna upset some people, but like I think it's two reasons. One, it felt more emotionally draining than I would expect it for. But another point, Ash dies, man.
I
Like
know
that.
that was some heavy stuff.
Yeah, that was some heavy stuff, man. I think that was too heavy for my palate for
And then they,
Pokemon.
and then they just started killing off random legendaries after that movie. Like Lugia freaking dies in the second one, Celebi freaking dies in the fourth one, and then Latios dies in the fifth one.
Yeah.
Uh,
The
that's,
fifth
that's
one I liked too. The Latios one.
eighth. Lucario pretty much dies in the eighth one. Trying to remember now. Darkrai doesn't really die in the tenth one. He kind of just gets dissolved to the outside the dimension, I guess, and then he kind of reappears later on. So that was kind of random. And that was
Same
pretty much
difference.
it. Arceus almost dies in the 12th one. Zort kind of dies in the 13th one. What actually? Victini no, not really. It doesn't really happen to it. Let's see. No, actually, those are the only actual deaths I can think of. I think they stopped doing that because it was a little too much on the fans. I think. Not sure though.
Think they're getting a little predictable.
I just like I guess after a point you can't really do it too much anymore. But
Yeah, you certainly don't want to repeat the same plot mechanic over and over again. It holds true for just about anything.
That is true.
I mean,
That's true.
there are some good ones that I don't mind going back to. There are some ones that I just kind of go, okay, what the hell? And I think one of the neatest ones that was really good for just mystery and just had a really neat storyline and had kind of cultural what do you call it, reference or something, or I don't know. It was just like a lot of nice inspiration to it. Was the fifth one, which had
Latios?
yeah, Laios and Laios. That was one of my favorites for a bunch of different reasons.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one quite a bit. I thought the Pikachu movie for that one was pretty good too.
I especially like the ending to that one because they had this whole thing where Laios can transform into turn to people. So she turned to Bianca a lot, and then the whole ending part where like you kind of going, wait, was that her or Latias or who was that? And they never actually say anything, so a little bit of mystery there. I thought
Yeah.
good music too, actually. I usually pay attention to like the overall music in the movies, but that was pretty good for what it was.
Yeah.
Anyways, next off.
Uh, I guess the
Sorry for that. I apologies on me. I kind of started talking without the mic.
Oops.
But yeah. The next is probably the most important subject. I would dare argue that this is going to be this will divide almost every single genre for animation and for everything for the next arguably half year, and it is the Sony hack, or
Oh
or
yes.
as everybody in the gaming industry will say, Sony hack part two. Okay, because this isn't the first time this has happened. This is like the second major time this has happened. But I actually, you know what? Before we talk about this, we should probably kind of give a sense of what happened, at least on a brief note. So I'll try talking about this and actually try to get to what happened. Okay, so uh, the thing is that first off, Sony had a security breach within their systems. They the group called Guardians of Peace, which is also abbreviated as GOP, they decided to go in there, take a whole bunch of data, including emails, social security numbers, um, what is it, movies, like
before
arguably
we
you. Go
before
ahead.
we move on, we should probably specify real quick. This is Sony Pictures
Yeah, this is Sony
specifically,
Pictures. Yeah, this is
because Sony is a lot of things.
Oh yeah. We should. Yeah, excuse me. Sony Pictures. Yeah, actually, we should emphasize that because this is on the Sony Pictures part, but not necessarily on everything else, including like the cell phones, their cameras, the of course PlayStation. But yeah, this is to Sony Pictures. So Sony Pictures had their movies removed out of there, or their movies copied out of there, their emails copied out of there, like sensitive documents copied out of there because of this security breach that happened, and um, it was released. But before that happening was is that their computers went down. An image came up with like a skull and stuff like that. Say, "Oh, we hacked your systems and stuff like that." And the reason why these people were doing it was because of the movie called The Interview. The Interview is a Seth Rogen, James Franco movie that is about those two trying to assassinate Kim Jong Un. Uh, they said they didn't want that to happen. of course, Sony said no, we're not gonna take that seriously, and then the leak happened. At least, at least to actually, let me recant that a bit, okay? I'm gonna go off of like a piece that was written on The Verge, which is like their systems got destroyed. It says that their hard drives got wiped, their systems went down. Like literally everything shut down for them to the point where it kind of paralyzed them for the next couple of days. So once they did that, they started releasing a whole bunch of this data on torrents. This torrents essentially had like the data that was copied off of their systems. And so what they tried to do was to essentially discredit them by releasing everything out there. And of course, reporters finding out about this actually started to take this information and started to disseminate through it, right? Of course, this became a major issue because Sony was pretty much threatened that if they release the movie, they're going to release a whole bunch of more data that would pretty much cost them everything. And so in the quest of trying to keep as much data as not leaked as possible, Sony decided to pull the interview, shut down everything that has to do with the theater release, etc., just like scrap the whole entire thing. This type of the reason also was because of the fact that it was not only just a data release. There was a threat. There was actually a security threat with there, saying that that invokes 9/11 as a method of what they're going to do. So knowing all this, right, and invoking and doing all that, Sony decided to say, okay, movie theaters, you can pull them out if you want to. All theaters pulled out. Everything did it, and Sony just quit the movie in general and walked away from this. Meanwhile, we've been getting lots of data about just what was going on through Sony Pictures at the time. And I mean, there is a lot. I mean, I would argue
this is the sort of stuff that the press would have a field day with.
No. We talk about field days, and we talk about, oh, guess what? You caught somebody having a sexual affair with. This is literally what careers are made out of. Like, this leak is literally what careers are made out of. Okay? So I guess we'll start off with one of the major leaks, which is the fact that Sony was in pictures with Nintendo to actually do a Mario Brothers movie. Like,
that is random as hell.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's pretty random.
Like,
do we know if it was going to be live action or animated?
I don't know. I was reading the article, and I didn't get a sense of whether or not it was going to be live action or not. So, but yeah, they were, how do I put it? They were in some significant discussions, and at the end of the day, it looks like it was going to actually like get it done. They were trying to push for like 3 to 4 movies. Like, that's crazy, okay?
what?
Yeah. Like, they were saying, hey, look, we could think of, like, I'll quote from the article from Polygon. It said that one of the animation president of production, Michelle Ramo, Koyata said that she said that she could think of 3 to 4 movies right out of the gate for Mario. Okay? Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, think about that, right?
I don't think they'd be any good, to be honest, because not a whole lot you can really do with them. But I mean, still, that is actually kind of interesting. So I would be curious to know what they were actually like, what the general plotline might have been from these.
Yeah, like, I guess for me, I don't get how you could pull off 3 like consistent movies unless like you got really more. I don't know how like meta you would have to get with the Mario with the movie, right? Because you would have to literally steal Peach, right? That would be like the first movie. That is the first movie, right? Then the second movie, what would that entail? Like,
Maybe you have,
No, at
like,
the end of the first movie, they find out that Peach is in another castle.
oh, see, okay, yep, 3 movies.
where like people have and decides to just like join forces with Mario and just take down Bowser or something. I don't know.
I don't know, but see Solo. I'm assuming that you're gonna go into the movie industry because that literally could happen, right? It's like
Now,
Well,
would
I would hope they wouldn't adapt
what
too
would actually
literally
make
from the
this kind of
games.
neat though? What would actually make the movie pretty neat though is if they started using like different kinds of powers like that Mario can get and just kind of utilize those for a bit. That would actually be kind of cool, just to kind of see how they would like transition those. If it's like 3D animated, it might be okay. If it's live action, that would actually be really neat to see like how stuff like the Tanuki suit or the raccoon tail thing would work, or the cape. Like, it would actually be kind of neat to see how they would adapt that into live action.
but we already had a live action Super Mario movie.
One,
And
We did.
one mishap.
Wait, no,
I
seriously, we
mean,
did.
I'd be willing to if they want to do
Oh,
live
that one.
action.
You mean
I'd be
like
willing to give them a shot.
the movie
no,
with Mario in it?
I was gonna
We
say
can't
like
just hold that against them like that.
That was like I saw it once. I'm like, what did I watch?
I think that's the first time I've ever said, you know what, it's different, but I'm gonna accept it for what it is. And I'm not gonna lie, I like it in a cheesy sense of like this is completely adapted, it doesn't make any sense type of way.
Well, I would hope if they're going to make movies, I would hope that they wouldn't try to adapt too literally from the games, because that is
That's,
that's a mine with not much. There's nothing to mine there, really.
Oh
You know,
god.
that's a mine with not much ore, I guess I could say. But
Yeah.
they'd have to make something up.
Yeah, I agree.
they're better off going with a side movie that recounts the whole story of like Rosalina and Luma. There's actually a lot more actual story to that thing than if you need to freaking Mario game it. There is.
Okay, let's be flat out honest. There's a whole lot of plots and a whole bunch of things compared to a freaking Mario game.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
I hate like in essence, Mario is is literally a platforming game. It doesn't have anything like it doesn't have any super deep stuff, but it doesn't ask for any super deep stuff, you know? So it's like I mean, gameplay wise, it's deep, but I'm saying like story wise, it doesn't ask for stuff, and it doesn't take stuff to be deep.
Just here's a rough thing of what's gonna happen. Go do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's Nintendo. They don't.
yeah.
They're never concerned with story. It's always gameplay with them.
Unless it's
Well,
Metroid or Zelda.
Yeah, there. Well, and I would argue
I,
Pokemon too, but like,
even
We haven't been
even
doing.
Zelda, like, come on, come
Like,
on.
honestly, for Pokemon, only the fifth generation had a decent story, and unfortunately, they never did a good job with that at all. So, I'm not exactly holding my breath with anything else they'll do. So, although also ORS did a pretty good job with the whole Delta episode thing, that was kind of nice. But I don't see that being adapted anytime soon, which kind of sucks.
No, I would say the fans of Zelda care more about Zelda's story than Nintendo does by an
Okay.
order of magnitude.
okay, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I don't. I agree. I mean, you could theoretically get a good, better philosophy out of maybe Twilight Princess, maybe Majora's Mask, maybe
Yeah, those were.
and
The-
Ocarina, but I don't know.
Ocarina is kind of
I-
pushing it.
I don't even. I would say Twilight Princess and maybe Wind Waker.
Wait,
Those
what
are
Yeah,
was
really-
that?
that Wind
Wait,
Waker would actually work well because of there's the whole there's two kind of things they have to work with, and I think that would actually make a pretty nice little mini series in a way.
Yeah.
wait. So what were the two movies again? You said
Twilight Princess
Well,
and
I was just saying, like in terms of Zelda games that have
yeah,
meaningful plot lines, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Like those are the only ones really.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
I mean, if you want to stretch it, Skyward Sword maybe, but I don't know. I haven't actually played that one yet.
Skyward Sword, from what I've heard about it, yeah, probably. Skyward Sword has a story in the same way I feel Wind Waker has a story, which like it's a very lore based story.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, that's true.
And I guess thinking about it, you can't really do a Metroid movie unless you actually have like either being a prequel stuff to kind of lead us into it, which would end up being an R rating just because of what happens in the prequel stuff, or
Well,
have something that happens with that might possibly involve some minor dialogue from her. But honestly, there isn't a whole lot you can do with it, to be fair.
I don't know. I mean, you could literally pitch it as a space bounty, like
The only
action thriller, right? Like,
You could do something with Metroid Prime 3, I bet. More
well,
Yeah,
interaction with the other bounty hunters.
if they can make a movie based on those three, that would work. What I was saying though is that they can't really make any ones based on the actual games because the one through four of Metroid are basically reskinned Alien movies, basically.
Oh, you mean the ones before Prime?
I'm not kidding. They are actually based on them. Hell, you have one of the villains. His name is Ridley. So, and Ridley Scott's the director. So, yeah.
Yeah, the ones before Prime. That's like trying to make a movie out of a Mario game.
Not really, because there is actually some manga that has been made from stuff that happens before the first Metroid game, and Zero Mission and Fusion do kind of show off some of that. So there is some
It has a lot of monologue.
like her whole Chozo upbringing and all that kind of stuff. That would make a really neat miniseries actually.
Yeah, that one. If they wanted to make a movie or a miniseries just about Samus's upbringing, that would be kind of interesting.
It would be.
Because I feel like there's never really been. They've always alluded to it. There's plenty of lore on it.
I've seen some like images from like a Japanese manga that kind of shows off some of it, but I don't know what the hell's going on, so I didn't really bother with it.
Yeah, I feel like they've never really like officially had a game talk about that directly.
Yeah.
It's always just lore. But yeah.
But yeah, they could easily do a movie series out of the Prime series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They could do that. Actually, I'm kind of surprised they didn't, right? I'm surprised that they went with Mario out of all of them, okay? Like, I know he's a tentpole, but like...
Why, though? Because out of all the Nintendo's franchises, honestly, the only one they could really make that anyone would know right off the top of their head is Mario. Zelda, yes, but I hate to say it, but I don't think Zelda's anywhere near as well known as Mario is, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, do you remember that one? What was it? They had this. I remember Polygon had this video that showed like these guys, people going out and showing off like all the characters from Smash Bros. And asking like to name them, people to name them all. And the funny thing I noticed was that of the characters that were named, the ones that people instantly got were Mario characters and Pokemon characters. With barely any hesitation at all. They knew exactly who they were.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's not so much that they don't want to do it. It's so much about them being recognizable characters.
Oh God! Now I realize something. Okay, do you want to know something crazy?
Sure.
They could literally create a Marvel-esque universe out of it, right? They could do all the movies and then put them all together and then create Super Smash Bros. as a tournament style movie, and that would literally be the Avengers, and that would be instant money.
That would actually be really cool.
that would be instant money. That's so crazy.
Imagine a world where you can go to the theater and see a movie poster for that on the wall.
Dude,
Nintendo All-Stars.
No. Let's not go with the crappy Sony thing. Okay, let's stick with Nintendo's good stuff.
But like,
I was actually thinking like Jump All-Stars or whatever. But okay.
Let's not bring up PAB.
But think about it, right? We said the exact same thing for Avengers, right? Like, if you would have said this 10 years ago,
better yet, like Marvel took Guardians of the Galaxy, a group that no one knew about until now, and made them almost as popular as characters that we all know of. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, like that is possible. Like, that's crazy. That is possible. Like, if Sony can convince and make enough money off of the Mario movies to the Zelda movies and like do all of that, they could literally pull off a Smash Bros. Movie and like make brand money.
And also, another thing too is that if they do this, then one, people will get more recognition for some of these characters, and two, maybe some other obscure games can sell, which means that people would know about them better, and therefore this can spiral into other obscure franchises actually doing better, and therefore Nintendo taking more chances and bringing other random stuff like that in.
My God, Sony might.
This could work.
This could work. Like this
So
this
this
could
would be
work,
ironic though. This is ironic. So this would be literally Sony saving Nintendo in an ironic kind of way.
dude. That's this is. I wouldn't say that, but I would just say like that's crazy. Like they could brand this like let me put it this way, okay? Like so Disney has two major brands in Marvel and Star Wars. Sony theoretically with Nintendo could have that type of epic like power for brand. That's oh god, that's
And don't forget, Sony's already got the Ratchet and Clank movie too. If that does well,
yeah. Oh god, that's crazy.
just
Like
thinking where this could lead.
yeah, like that's just crazy. Like oh my god, that's this is
Of course, this whole play never happened, but it's still.
there's that.
Certainly, but
Yeah, but like this will actually segue me into this one, to this particular topic. It won't happen because they don't necessarily have the what is it? The personnel that they should or to get. So everybody loves the Lego Movie, right? It was a great fun movie. The
I'm surprised how
director,
good it actually was, to be honest.
yeah, and that's because of what is it? Phil Lord and Chris Miller. They did that, right? Sony said, "Hey, look, Phil Lord, Chris Miller, come fix Sony Animation for us." They said, "Nope, not gonna do it. It's a train wreck." Like literally at the end of it, they literally come out and say that the reason why they didn't do it was because of it was because of their head, Bob Osher, that if they fired him, they could probably improve Sony what is it? Sony Animation's problems, which is crazy. That is
Wait, so what kind of problems are we talking about here?
so. Let's be flat out honest. Sony and animation has never necessarily been tied together, right? Like you have Pixar, you have Disney, you have DreamWorks. Okay,
I think what was it? There's another studio that's starting to get more attention. Not Sony, but it was another one. I remember it. I think it was either Illumination or something else. But
yeah.
those guys are actually starting to get a little bit higher up now, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, but like they what is it?
But yeah,
So
I don't think about Sony that much, to be honest.
yeah, you don't because their animation department isn't that good. So
what was the
I
last movie they made?
um that's a good question.
I
I
think it was
think
either Lego
That
Movie
says a
or
lot.
Pennsylvania.
yeah, I think it's Castle Transylvania. So I think that's the what is it? I think that's it, right? And the problem is that these marketing people don't know what they're doing, right? Like you could like I don't know if you go through it, but if you looked at the slides and stuff like that, there was some crazy stuff. Hold on. Like for instance, they had like, oh, people think the Smurfs are funny and like this things, and you look at the marketing stuff, and you're just like, wow, these people really don't know how to cater towards people, right? And it's like the
Oh
same
yeah, Smurfs. I didn't remember about that.
or like Elysium, where they're like, don't play down the political stuff, and Elysium was pretty much political stuff, right?
I find that
So
any marketing group just tries to appeal to the lowest common denominator, ignores all the stuff that actually makes it worthwhile, and then they just go with that.
yeah, it's crazy.
Sucks because there's a lot more to it than that.
Well, it's not just that, right? Hold on. The thing is that the thing is that they market, but they're trying to market to as much people as possible. But but if you look at the way that Marvel does it, Marvel says our hardcore of niche likes it, and if they like it, you will probably have some sort of like affinity to it, right?
True.
And it works. It works because at the end of the day, if somebody's like, "Dude, there's Iron Man," then somebody's like, "What's Iron Man?" And then the guy just literally just goes off, tells them just how awesome Tony Stark is. Then they say, "Oh, that sounds to me like Batman," and then the person's like, "Well, kind of, sort of, not really Batman. If Batman was like, "Hey, look, I'm going to like save the
Batman is
world and
not a
be,"
jerk. That's the difference.
well, one's more of a
Whoa,
jerk.
what'd you say?
I said I said Batman's not a jerk. I mean, let's be fair. Tony
You
Stark,
need to read some comics, buddy.
Tony Stark, for the most part, he's a decent guy in most cases, but he is kind of a snarky douche every now and again. So
Cobalt, you realize you have a DC fan right next to you, right? like that was. Oh God, I was expecting Solo to just say, "Okay, you know what? First off, let me tell you exactly the ways that Bruce Wayne is an absolute."
okay, maybe okay. I don't know too much about. Okay, fine. I don't know about comics in the first place. So I was kind of going by what I've seen from like animation and movies. So maybe
No,
I'm
that's,
missing
that's
some.
fair. That's fair. But let me just say, Bruce Wayne is a bigger jerk than Tony Stark is.
Oh dear
By a pretty
God!
significant margin.
Oh dear God! That's saying something.
Stark's just a drunkard.
Oh God!
I mean, it's true, but like,
That's
damn,
perfect. That's perfect.
man.
I won't lie. I won't disagree with you on that one.
That's. Oh God! I mean, it's interesting
But
because
no one's as much of a douche as Stephen Strange.
I can't speak to that because I don't know about Strange, but
Oh,
yeah.
he's up there.
yeah, so like it was it was like for me, like I said, it was crazy for these hacks and stuff like that. Yeah, there was an Angry Birds feature also thinking about being done in that animation studio for Sony's animation
Oh
studio.
God.
Yeah,
Why? Just,
because Solo Wing, or sorry, Cobaltio, sorry for that.
it's alright.
Cobaltios, it's brands. That's what it is. It's brands. It is literally, can we make money off of a brand? Yes. Okay, do it. That's that's literally it. And it's being done in Vancouver, so
Oh.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, this.
It's like, yeah.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, yeah. So, and funny enough, it's interesting because they said that yeah,
Why would they do this?
brands. Like okay, I urge you, if you want to literally know the future in a nihilistic song sense, go type up Nate Ingram's SoundCloud and then listen to the song called Brands. It is literally the future. I secretly sometimes like listen to that track just to make myself feel numb for the future that I'm going to be in, as in I'm going to be immersed in brands. Like that's literally it. So anything that has a brand name to it will be marketable within any reason whatsoever. And it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
Oh.
Yes, that is our future. Speaking of future, also, um, what was more arguably damning about the whole entire Sony hacks was the Project Goliath that The Verge actually dug up. Which disclaimer, I am a moderator of The Verge, so take it for what you will. But yeah, that was crazy though. Like if you, I know I keep on repeating that, but you just, I guess with these whole hacks, they confirm one thing and one thing only. Well, everything that we think about Hollywood as like a mental organization is true. It is absolutely true. It is so true that like it's just disturbing. Like you could write a story about Hollywood, completely throw it out the table because of how like off that is compared to what we thought about Hollywood being true. Okay, like so the thing about Project Goliath is that if you hated SOPA, this is what they're going to try to do as the SOPA Part 2.
Oh,
Where,
brother.
yeah, so to explain about that, it's basically they're trying to get rid of as much torrenting content and piracy efforts as possible in order to make sure that people buy their products. Therefore, pretty much doing all they can to block torrents to pretty much get as much IP retention as possible, etc., etc.
Here's another idea. They could consider make actual quality stuff. That may help a bit.
But it's not just that. I mean, I'm going to tell people to go read the article. Like, go read everything about Project Goliath. I'm telling you, it is crazy. I was remember listening to the Vergecast, and it's interesting because two things happen, right? So apparently on the Vergecast, one of the groups, like Sony Europe, was like, "Hey, look, why don't we just torrent a 5-minute episode of Hannibal, seed it through torrents, and then just with a commercial, say, watch it at this point. That way, people will actually like it and actually go back and jump on that, right? Like as kind of like a guerrilla marketing campaign." They were like, "No, we don't want that. We don't want the internet." Like the best way to put it is this. These guys are so afraid of the internet, they paid off an attorney general just to do that. Like they actually were like, here's legislation, here, go do that, here's money for your funding, go do that. Like and so they were all doing this, right? And their biggest obstacle was Goliath. And Goliath was Google. That was a code name they went for Google, right? Think about how insane that is.
So let me get this straight. They basically want to stop Google.
They were trying to do ways to stop content, but they felt like Google is pretty much the internet, which in a way kind of is. But they wanted to stop Google in the sense of saying that we have to make it so that Google does whatever we say to the point of like no returns, right? So you know how like you could type in stuff and say, "Oh, I want to watch something on there." Sometimes you'll get torrents, sometimes you'll get legal stuff, right? They want all the torrent searches gone from there. Like anything that has to do with piracy, gone. So that literally it just unexists itself. Of course, I'm summarizing this really, really heavily, but it is insane, okay? Like the best way I could put it is this, okay? They're so crazy about like the internet, like the fact that the whole Europe thing happened. I could sum it up like this: they're like, "Oh, torrenting to the internet, trying to adapt our model, that's crazy. But Goliath, though, Goliath must be stopped. Oh no, stop them." And it's like, come on now, right? Like, I think this disturbs me the most because this is exactly what happened with the anime industry, right? Like, the anime industry did dang near all they could back in the earlier 2000 eras to stop piracy. They convinced Funimation to literally get lawyers to send cease and desist orders, okay? Like,
holy.
Yeah,
Really?
that's an interesting story for a later Plightcast or on our forums, which is the Plight that you should all go and read if you haven't. If you're obviously listening to this, or if you're listening to this and you haven't come to the Plight before. But yeah, you should read. You should go there. We can talk about it there too. But yeah, the thing is this. The MPAA wants everybody to be like Japan, where they buy their physical medium, they're okay with archaic stuff, and at the end of the day, they just buy physical stuff for the sake of buying physical stuff. Like, in Japan, they can still get away with selling off singles of like 2 to 3 episodes on a disc, okay? Like, you attempt that here with Aniplex, you still, like, Aniplex gets 4 on a disc, and they're still derided, okay? Like, people still say, "No, not Aniplex," because of the model, okay? Like, that's how crazy it is, okay? So...
Well, I mean, to be fair, I don't think you have to pay quite as much for content in Japan as you do for content from Aniplex. Blu-rays are quite expensive in Japan. They're we're talking maybe $80
okay.
for a Blu-ray.
Oh, okay.
A single volume Blu-ray or something. But
okay. Yeah.
you're gonna pay more than that I would say on a per episode basis, you're probably paying more from Aniplex for a similar amount of content.
It depends, but I haven't really looked at like Aniplex's sets compared to their Japanese counterparts. I really should look at that so I can be able to see whether or not it was worth it or not. But like it's like, I guess the point of it is this: the anime industry has tried doing that. Okay, it doesn't work. In fact, what normally happens afterwards, which is what I read on this one article on, I think organization ASO. I'll probably link it in the Plight or something. But essentially, you'll have people start getting really, really smart about these things, finding out where their IPs are or where they're originating from, and then just immediately block their IPs from their website. So
Nice.
that's what happened. That one Scanlation group literally blocked Japanese IPs from coming into their websites. So at the end of the day, they can still get away with what they're doing, and you can't see what the heck they're doing. Like,
Oh wow.
yeah, yeah, and that's what might happen if they're not willing to do the things that would absolutely help them out. Like, I guess I'll be honest. I was very hesitant about doing these leaks. I was about reading about these leaks and stuff like that. About like looking into them because at the end of the day, I'm like, these are personal emails, right? Like these are people's livelihoods. You really shouldn't look at that content, right? But like, I would say after Project Goliath, and especially after looking at some of the other things that they've said and stuff like that, I'm more sorry for the people that are on the lower end of the poll. You know what I mean? Like your people that were sending these confidence stuff like that. People that like are not necessarily the headshot callers. I feel sorry for them, but for the higher ups, I'm like, nope. To heck with you guys. You guys obviously didn't do what you're supposed to do. And now we know that you're attempting to do a Mario movie, a and you have some ridiculous brand stuff that you're trying to pull off too. But I'm trying to find this one chart. There was this one chart that showed up that apparently had like a lot of different places where they would place like the animation stuff. Hold on, Sony. And hold on, chart. So like they had like this chart that pretty much showed like where like certain things fell off, and like they had like one place where like they had like Phineas and Ferb, and I thought it was rightly corrected, and then they had like all these other things that were just crazy, okay, like that were interesting in the way that they were doing stuff, at least for their PowerPoints and stuff. But yeah, they oh, they also did Cloudy with a chance of meatballs too.
Oh yeah,
So
right. Because aren't those the guys that also worked on Lego Movie in a way? Yeah, right.
I
That's who it was. They made those two movies and then they made Lego Movie.
Yeah, so if you look at the image, they for one of their posters, they're like food and man living in harmony, science, inventions, true friends value for who you are. Like I'm not kidding. Like this is it. Like hold on. Yeah, like that's crazy. In the sense,
Okay.
yeah. So they had one of those. What else? Like, ah. They had one for like Spider-Man. They had one for a lot of stuff. Like, yeah, they.
That's all they did.
Well, that's like branding stuff, right? Those are like I would say that they're image branding stuff. So at the end of the day, you can how do I put it? You can how do I word this? Be able to market the thing properly and be able to customize the content so you can say, okay, we can sell it to these people and make this much money, or sell it to these people and make this much money, etc., etc. But yeah, like some of these PowerPoints are pretty bad, I would argue, because like they're like, I don't know, like I said, it validates everything you could possibly think about Hollywood. Okay, like everything you could possibly value about Hollywood. So, but yeah, these hacks have been crazy. And yes, I've killed the word crazy enough, but it's
In regards to the whole thing with the interview, apparently, didn't they also try to replace it with Team American World Police, and then they denied that or something?
so yeah. I'll talk about that for a little bit. So Paramount was like, so people were like, you know what? Screw it. We won't do the interview. We'll just do Team America, and we can make money off of that, right? Then Paramount's like, we don't want to get hacked, so no, we're not going to authorize that. So yeah. apparently everybody in Hollywood now has finally realized that the movies that they go in there and there are movies that have like the cyber hackers that go in there and, like do all this clicking and clacking to say I'm in, and like hack and stuff like that could actually happen to them. So that's
Was it also the fact that it was making fun of King Jong Il too also,
yeah. Um,
or is that just
King,
coincidence?
Kim Jong Il, his father. Almost I'm almost sure it's his father. So, um, but yeah, it is okay. Yep, I found it. I found the image. It is okay. This chart, which I'll post down at below, is interesting. Like they have like what is it? A poster that says that they think that Angry Birds is is more on the scale of like action packed and like smart. Okay. Oh,
Ah.
and then they
Oh
have
God.
yeah, and then they have like so it's an axis of smart to strange and then from cute to action packed.
Hmm.
This I
Yeah,
gotta see.
yeah, and it is crazy. Some of these things are like smart, and other things are just like wow. Like they kind of nailed down Pokemon in a decent way. Like they put it in like the weird axis between cute and
Why is it not okay? Why is Pokemon closer to cute than action packed? I'm confused.
because Pikachu. I don't.
Wow, that is
Yeah,
just
that's probably it. Like
wow.
I'm banking that it's more towards Pikachu. Like
At
they have
least,
it on.
wait, why is okay? Family Guy needs to be. Yeah, I think Family Guy's all right because it's like more strange and just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, okay. And then yeah, so
Angry Birds? Wait, action packed. It's the no. It should be lower than that. It should be on the more
yeah.
strange
You,
side.
I
Why
mean,
the hell is it smart? I mean, because you have to actually like guesstimate where you fling it.
I
That's the person. That's the person playing it.
you know
That's what
what I'm gonna do? I think we're gonna do this.
Why is Farmville on the?
No. I have a challenge for
What?
everybody. Okay, I have a challenge for everybody for the
Oh my!
Plightcast.
Why is it
Okay,
there?
for the Plightcast, right? I want everybody get your friends, get your family, get whoever you can. Take this poster of Angry Birds' popular emoji, bring in your own animation or anything else, and rearrange all of this. Keep the axis of like smart to strange, keep the action packed, put in more things and rearrange it as you want. And you know what? We'll look through them. If we'll look through them and actually talk about a couple of these on the Plightcast next time, or maybe the next after that, the one that's coming up New Year, because it'll be interesting to see if people can actually rearrange these things and kind of get to see if we could make a chart that's way better that Sony execs can do. I mean, dude, they have on the axis, right, as smart but cute as Farmville. And I'm just like,
Why
okay.
smart? Shouldn't it be like on the strange side, honestly, because it's kind of strange in some ways.
Well, they have Fruit Ninja in between smart and action pack, so yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to understand what the connecting string is supposed to be between all these things.
I don't know. I
Like
don't
I'm
know.
looking. I mean, there's a bunch of
half
anime
of
stuff
these
on
should be
here.
half of this
There's
should
some
be
board
flipped.
games on here.
Yeah, like honestly, no, half of this stuff should be flipped.
I guess I'm just
Like
trying to understand
horizontal.
why most of the stuff is here to begin with. Like, why is The Sims here? Like, why is Oregon Trail here? That's not even relevant anymore.
Yeah, I know this says family outdated. Farmville is
Oh, fair enough.
boring, which is obvious.
I
Uh,
mean,
childish, silly, funny, outrageous, imaginative. Angry Birds is not viewed as having good story. 6%. What does that mean? That 6% people actually think this, or does that mean
yeah.
that?
6% people actually.
There's always going to be some outliers.
Oh, only 6% people think Angry Birds is viewed as not having good stories. I
Yeah.
don't want to live in this society anymore. That's only 6% of people actually think that, actually know that. That's sad. That's just,
They
I don't
they have a
know.
temple. They have Temple Run like on the axis between smart and action packed as like the most as it more action packed than Ben 10. Like, oh my god,
What?
oh my god, why?
Well, to be fair, Ben 10 is kind of strange.
Well, I
No,
mean,
no, no. I mean, like it's. I would say it's more action packed than Temple Run would be.
Oh well, sure. Maybe it should be higher up, higher, farther along the action pack scale than Temple Run.
I think it also should be a bit more. Also, like it should really be right between smart and strange because it does have some moments of intelligence compared to Family Guy. Which I think, okay, I'll be honest, the only one that's in the proper position is Family Guy. That's it.
I don't know. I'm okay with
Phineas and
Phineas and
Ferb should
Ferb.
be a lot higher than where be more on the smart side. Yes, it's strange,
Okay,
but
yeah, that's
probably
true. That's actually Cobaltios. I agree. I agree. I thoroughly agree. Like I actually would flip that in the sense of putting it up on the. It's action packed, but I would flip it like up to the smart axis.
exactly.
What,
Yeah.
Ben
It
10?
is strange,
No, no,
but
no, no.
it's
Phineas and
also
Ferb.
smart.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the problem
Lego,
is like this chart is like fundamentally flawed in the
it
sense
That's
is.
that in the sense that neither of the scales are mutually
Like
exclusive.
exactly. You could practically put Pokemon smack dab in the middle and it would
Like
work
I would argue
because it fills every
Phineas and
single
Ferb.
quota.
Like I would argue Phineas and Ferb is a little strange, but yeah, it's also you could also argue that it's kind
And
of smart.
yeah, this chart is very flawed. I agree, but based on that chart alone, there are some really weird choices.
I'm just shocked that there's like I think one thing that's depressing though is that Korra's not on there or Avatar. That's kind of depressing now that I really think about that. Yet they have Oregon Trail on there.
Okay, so they have Monopoly, which is a board game. They have Temple Run, which is, I believe, a video game. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
though.
yeah. It's a
Okay,
video game.
they have Lego, which is a toy. They have Sims, which is a game, but that is I don't know, maybe relevant. I don't know. They have Fruit Ninja. They have Angry Birds. They have Phineas and Ferb. They have Family Guy. They have Monster High, I believe, is what I'm seeing. Hello Kitty and Farmville. Like, who the hell chose
I think the point here is that
who?
these are all franchises that supposedly cater to the same demographics as Angry Birds.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and it is kind of crazy that said demographics are like I agree, Solo. Like this whole entire plot is flawed. Like I if it were up to me, if I were gonna do this, I wouldn't even like do a square. I would do a circle, make like 8 different axes, and then plot around that instead of just trying to do a four plot. But like
You could do like a three-dimensional one. It'd probably work better.
that is also true.
X, Y, and Z.
Oh God, like that. This is. I think I have to give props though. They remember the Oregon Trail. I have to give props for that. Okay, but this is crazy. Like
Was it like a board meeting or something, and people were like, "Just shut up,
yeah.
franchise,
There is
put on the board."
there is probably a board meeting that happened because of this. Okay, there is probably somebody who had to dedicate their life to actually like coming up with this stuff, and they probably wanted to change a whole lot of it, but then their superiors were like, "No, don't change a dang thing." And then we got this. We got this. This is this is depressing. Okay, like I pray to God that maybe that hopefully whatever company I'm working with, we do not get this far off the deep end. Okay, I pray for myself for that because this is like oh God, this is
And this is why I secretly want to work for an independent company. That way, there's at least a better chance of better stuff happening as opposed to this kind of BS. Because I'm really not, I'm not exactly feeling the big companies these days. My trust in them has
I
wavered somewhat.
when you have a big company says the Sims are an axis between smart and action packed, I think I can theoretically agree with that. Like like
the Sims can be all four of those things, to be honest.
exactly.
I mean, strange, certainly. There are some pretty absurd ways to die in The Sims.
There's a
Yeah.
bunch of them that could be like right in the middle.
Yep.
That is such a weird chart.
Oh God. Yeah, I think we're gonna do that. I'm gonna try to blast it on iTunes, and I'm gonna try to blast it on the social media and stuff like that. But I want to see on the Plightcast, on the Plight, to see if anybody or if everybody can come up with a better chart than this, okay? Because I think at the end of the day, all of us could come up with a better chart than this. Yeah, I want to do that. Are you guys cool with this?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, yeah. Well, we'll do it as a thought
An
experiment.
elementary student can come up with a better chart than that.
I think I don't think, I know my sisters can do better than this, okay? I know that I could pick a random kid from the street, say, hey, kid, here's the plot. Throw where all these things are, and they will get this a lot better than this.
It's like
So,
it's like some mom who just doesn't understand anything, just decide to put things just based on what they assume they know. Like this is more of
oh,
an I find it more like adults who have made this than anything else.
okay, let's be flat out honest, okay? At least moms would understand about Monopoly not being where it is, okay? They would
Yeah,
probably understand,
I get that.
I'm just saying that moms, dads, I just think the average layperson would look at this and say, this doesn't make sense, okay? Like, they don't even need to, like, be in the industry. I just think an average person would just say, this doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, this hack has done. I think this hack has done a lot for us in the public interest, even though it is debatable that whether or not this thing should be leaked. But oh god, man, this is crazy. This will be a very interesting time to see how things go. It'll be also interesting to see how animation studios and graphic novels, etc., all of them like shape their whole entire mindset after looking at all these things, so that they can be able to say, you know what, maybe we should try something else that's different. So it'll be interesting to see the fallout from this.
I just hope
It
those
will be.
guys know what they're doing, trying to take on Google.
Yeah, me too. Because I'm just saying that you're essentially fighting one of the world's largest companies that could theoretically ghost your content. I mean, you're trying to get them to ghost other people's content, but Google can literally ghost your content. Okay? And yet you want to, yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes.
It
So,
sounds like Sony is kind of pouty right now.
well, I wouldn't even say that. I just think that Sony in general are just pissed with that they got caught with their pants off, because at the end of the day they didn't decide to actually check or ask somebody to check for them. Okay, like, I guess the best way to put it is that they had their fly unzipped. Some person said, "Oh, by the way, your fly is unzipped. You should probably zip it up, okay?" And they're like, nah. I probably zipped it up all right." And yet, this happened. And
It's like
now
they learned that thing from the PSN hack.
oh god, they did. It's scary that they did not learn a dang thing from the PSN hack.
I don't really think that's a comparable incident. That's a completely different division of Sony.
Not really, because well, it's still Sony and it is different in the division, but at the same time, I get the feeling this kind of shows
Different
exactly
people were
how
involved, and different engineers, different personnel were working on those servers as opposed to these ones. Like that's
yeah, that'll never happen to us.
just because they're all under the umbrella that is Sony. Like that doesn't actually say as much as you think it does.
So
Well,
it'd be funny if the next time, if Sony gets hacked a third time, it's another division. I think you'll probably take that before they go, okay, I think maybe our security is a bit flawed. We should probably work on that.
I would say that I agree with both of you. I agree that it is a larger organization. The fact that they could do all this management is kind of hard on them. On the exact same time, I always felt that, like, if a major breach occurs, then I would think that everybody in the industry and stuff like that would immediately say, okay, time to go reinforce security. When you get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if you look at the tech industry, when something breaches, everybody says, "Oh, and we take good care to make sure that your data is secure. This is what we're doing." And yet, I don't know. It's complicated, but all I know is that we've learned a lot through these in the last month, and we're gonna learn a lot more as it gets through.
Somebody hates Sony. That's what I assume. I mean, why would they get the like? Why has somebody been in Target twice already? Clearly something somebody's done to piss someone off.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I don't think those. I mean, first of all, we'd have to assume that the people who hacked Sony Pictures are at all related to the people who hacked PSN.
That
That's.
yeah, that's true because one was Lowell's sec and the other one was yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they could be. I don't know. I don't. But we
Well,
don't. Nobody knows.
wasn't this a Sony hack caused by like Koreans or something?
Uh,
We don't know that.
the FBI says it's North Korea, and people are saying that they're really doing it, but I feel like everybody's really, really hesitant to say this is North Korea. Like there are something that North Korea may have like paid people to do it, but once again, I think it's a very hesitant thing. Okay, I think that if let's say Subi that it was North Korea, this is what I think will happen. Okay, Kim Jong Un, who has been having to leave the public for a long time because of some health issues, doesn't want to look weak, right? So he tells his advisors, "Hey, look, how do I not look weak?" And they say, "Hey, look, there's this movie that says, it's about an assassination plot about you. It doesn't really matter, but they're go do it." Then Kim Jong Un says, "Okay, let's go do whatever we can to take him out. Here's some money. Go take him out." Then they end up doing that, find some hackers, get them to do it, take out their money, take out everything, and then they say, "Okay, go ahead and do it," right? Then what happens is that they come back and say, "Oh, they still don't get it. Let's make sure that we can look as North Korea being strong." And then they're like, and he's like, "Okay, what can we do to make North Korea look even more strong?" And then they're like, "Mention 9/11. Here's a demo of it." And then they kind of do, and they're like, "Okay, let's go ahead and do it." And then Sony keeps, and then you have Kim Jong Un say, "World star, world star," say that he completely got his master plan completed to show that he's a strong leader that can do stuff, right? But I'm hesitant to say that because I don't know, like I don't doubt the fact that North Korea could do it. I doubt the fact that they would do it in I wouldn't say this malicious way, but in there's just something off that I guess I just haven't seen the smoking gun, right? I think that's the biggest problem. I can say that I kind of see the smoking gun, but haven't like seen the smoking gun. So that's it to me. But I'm not a security expert, so yeah, yeah.
My guess is that I don't think North Korea was directly involved in it. I think the fact that the movie was insulting them is a coincidence.
Oh,
But
but it was a good way to guise their stuff under doing stuff.
sure, yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But I guess that's it for our Plightcast.
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah. So we're gonna have two more podcasts for this year. One is dedicated to Korra because it is an immense journey, and the fact that it ended, we need to unpack all of this. Okay.
Yeah, I have to actually go back and watch it because I only saw chunks of the first season, but I don't remember half of it, so I have to go back and watch the whole damn thing.
It's an
Yeah.
enjoyable watch.
What?
It's an enjoyable watch.
Yeah, I don't doubt it is. It's gonna be long.
You're used to that, aren't you?
Yeah, the problem is I haven't done that in a while, so it's like this will be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. But yeah, CoraCast, and then the final end of the year podcast where we're just gonna talk about this and just like talk about what happened this year and just say what was things that were memorable to us. So I also want to say that I think the timing is maybe this one or maybe the next one, but it's our anniversary podcast. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, yeah, we made it through a year. That's crazy. That's the roughest part about stuff. It's always getting through the first year. So yeah, yeah,
It's interesting that we're talking about Korra's ending. If I recall, it was either our first or second episode we started this talking about Korra back in the first
yeah,
season.
Oh, jeez, really?
Yep.
yeah,
One of
dude.
the one of our first major topics for this podcast was talking about how the first season of Korra was coming along.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
damn. So this started back in 2012 then?
Well, no, it wasn't first season. It was second season
Oh,
because,
Are you sure?
or was it? Maybe it was.
I think no. I think it was the second season because I remember you guys mentioning stuff about like the spirit world or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was second season into third. Oh,
It's just so weird because I was in my
It
like
must have been really early second season then, because I
first
feel
yeah,
like
semester of college when they first started. Like just go started. Next thing you know, where it's like I'm like done college and now it's like oh now the core's done. It's like oh wow that went fast.
yeah.
yeah. It was second season because second season was done in 2013.
Hmm.
So
All right.
yeah,
So regarding the Korra cast, is that going to be 3 and 4 or all 4 seasons?
it's gonna be 3 and 4. We've already covered two, and honestly, I would say that we would have time for that, but see, that's pretty much a podcast series all to itself. So nah,
Probably.
nah, we're gonna probably stick with three and probably just be more emphasis on four because three is great, but let's be flat out honest, we kind of missed the boat on that one. So we will try our best for three, but we're just gonna focus on four because I think four it kind of closes everything out. So
Fair enough.
yeah. So with that being said, you can catch us on the Plight. It's on Polygon.com on the off-topic forums. You can catch us on Twitter by using the hashtag Plightcast. Um, you can also get to us through just about, I guess, any case. Just hashtag Plightcast, and then we'll probably find it through somewhere. If you want to contact me about the podcast stuff like that, you could just get me at Twitter at Kyrie Elson, and or else do it in the Plight forum. So, reach out to us if you are a person that has listened to this but doesn't necessarily is not necessarily listening from a plighter, I guess people. But if you don't use the Plight forums, um, you can kind of get us through there. So sorry, I kind of just wanted to promote the social aspects of this. But
Sure.
with that, but with that being said, this is Kyrie Elson signing off.
And
Cool.
Cobaltios? God damn it!
Well, I this time I specifically said I said go Cobalt. But yeah, and I'm solo.
Thank you for listening to Plightcast 18. We'll see you again next week. See you. Bye.
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 That's another one. This was 18.